All right, hello again. I just wanted to come on here and talk about or shed some light on mental illness. Is it an illness? Is it spiritual warfare? Are you just crazy? No. So I could only go from my journey and dealing with it. You know, I was clinically diagnosed with being bipolar when I was 19 years old, after I was having so-called hallucinations in my dorm room of a evil demonic entity in my mirror. It was a reflection of myself on fire, and it laughed at me. And then also I was under I guess you would say, a demonic attack, whereas I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. Like, I didn't even want to bathe. So I say this to say that, you know, I believe, this is my opinion, but I believe that there are people amongst us that are out here who are just highly sensitive spiritually. And sometimes they are able to attract evil entities with the light that they hold, and then they become attacked by that demonic or evil entity that's out here. Prime example, I've throughout my journey, I've had 4 episodes. My first episode, like I said, I had the vision in my dorm room where I was on fire and I seen a demonic entity laughing at me. My second episode, I was pregnant with my daughter, but I started having like these weird occurrences where, like, I could feel, I guess, God's presence. I was able to, like, my intuition was open. Like, when I say my intuition was open, like, I was able to, like, read people's mind. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt everything. I felt everything spiritually. But then another downside to it was that I couldn't sleep, and that I had a hard time with winding down, you know. But I felt a spiritual, like, essence, like things that you can't see, that you can't put your finger on, but you feel it and you know that it's there. That was my second episode. And then I was also visited by angelic beings while I was pregnant, because there was an attack on my child. My family members wanted me to get an abortion, and, like, I guess divine intervention has stepped in, and that's why I had the angelic visitation. I could maybe go over that in another video, but I know I was visited by angelic beings, and they were there to help protect me from any type of decision that was made to abort my child's life. My third episode, I remember I was triggered because I was angered by my father. When it comes to things that happened in the past, I don't want to go into it, but, like, I witnessed some traumatic things, and he told me that I was pretty much delusional, that I was making it all up in my head when I witnessed it. And it just made me so upset that, like, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I quit my job. I walked off of my job. And I felt like when I was going through the episode, I felt heavy, evil entities trying to take me, because I remember, like, it was at nighttime and I ran out of my home with the door unlocked, with no shoes on, and I ran through my street. And I remember saying, like, it's coming. It's coming. A purge is coming. This was in 2019. And I started seeing, like, a vision of warships coming. And they were, like, fighting. They had, like, chopped off people's heads. They were just doing, like, horrific things. I was getting, like, all of these visions at one time. And then there was a time where I had seen it after all the chaos. There was a sign of peace. And then I remember, like, during this episode that I had, I took all of my clothes off and I jumped into a dirty pond and I swam in it. And I cut the left bottom part of my foot because during this episode that I was having, it was a individual. It was a boy that was following me, and he followed me to the pond and he wanted to have relations with me. And that's why I had jumped into the river, because I'm like, I'm not doing that. But that was pretty intense. I remember, like, even when I had I was taken home by my boyfriend at the time, and there was just like a pool of blood just all over the floor because I had cut the bottom of my left foot. And during this time, I was getting visions of my father. I got visions of him practicing on the saxophone, because he used to play the saxophone when he was in school. And then I got a vision of my aunt, which is his sister, and it looked like she was walking to the bus stop, and she had her sunglasses on because she had gotten beat up by her boyfriend, because, you know, come to find out, like, she was in a domestic violence situation. So I was getting all of those things at the same time. And then while I was, like, sitting up against the wall, I could it's like I couldn't hear it, but I could feel it. It was like an entity that was following me, and it was like, what is she, you know, like, what can we take from her? What does she have? And then, like, I felt my angels, like, fighting them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to explain, but, you know. And then my last episode that I had, it was very intense. It was very intense. Like, I felt everything around me. I felt everything. I felt like I was connected to everything. And I felt the trees. I felt the wind. I felt the grass between my feet. I felt the stories that was within the town that I was at. You know what I'm saying? Because the part of North Carolina that I was at, it was like, it's an old place. Like, there's like a lot of stories when it comes to slavery, when it comes to runaway slaves. You know, I could feel all of that. Like, it was just a bum rush of feelings. And I also felt me having to protect my daughter, because I felt like there was an entity trying to use me to harm her. See, this is where the spiritual warfare, that's where it comes into play. But I had to do everything in my power to fight when it comes to praying in tongues, when it comes to, you know, speaking Psalm 91 and Ephesians 6:11 through 18 over myself, when it comes to, you know, Psalm 23, just making sure that I was okay. But see, after that 4th episode, I had to go to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 27 days. And they were doing tests on me, but, like, I still I still was praying for the people that was in the hospital. I still prayed for them. I still took time out to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of art. I did a lot of encouraging art, like just words of encouragement. Like I said, there was people that we would come together every day between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, and we would just pray. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not, I wasn't the only one there that was going through some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we going through a lot of spiritual attacks. So from my experience and what I feel, in my opinion, the medical industry, they only want you to take the medicine. They want you to be medicated, right? So when you medicated, you're zombified. When I say you zombified, you walking slow, your eyes dilate, you're constipated, you don't have that certain vigor to your life, right? But it's supposed to calm you down because like I say, we are very sensitive people. So we go through things, it's because we are just spiritually intact and we are aware of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I could see certain things, I could feel certain things that people are not able to feel because they're not tapped in, or because they're just not vibrating as high as I am. And that's not my fault, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes having those experiences can be overwhelming for the average person. I will say that. But at the same time, it's like I said, I'm not the only person that go through this. I'm not the only person that's able to feel people's energy, or that's aware of the things that surround us. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the only person, and this is why I'm constantly in prayer, because I know that I'm set apart. I know that I'm not a part of this world. I know that I've always been different. I've always liked to be alone, because people's energy can be a little bit overwhelming or overpowering for me, and that's fine with me. But I believe that, like I say, people that deal with mental illness, number one, they got a lot of childhood traumas that they're going through, that they went through. It could be abuse. It can be sexual trauma. It can be abandonment. There's many different avenues that can lead you to the so-called mental illness, and that's up to that person to realize what they went through was not in vain, but to take it to the Heavenly Father and to continue to pray over themselves and over their family, because it's a demonic attack. It's a spiritual attack. That's what it is. And it's an attack of the mind. See, the interesting thing that I was watching an interview with Kanye West, and I think it was David Letterman, and he said that NASA knows more about space, right, than they do about the human mind. You know what I'm saying? What the human mind is capable of doing. So we don't know what we're capable of doing. There's different people that's plugged in differently, so they experience their life differently. You know what I'm saying? Just because we can't see Wi-Fi and the cell phone frequencies doesn't mean that we're not able to still use Wi-Fi and to use our phones and to call people on it. Just because you can't see the frequency, just because we're not connected to the actual phone post, doesn't mean that we still can't make phone calls on our phone. We're that's the same way with human beings. We have a different connection, a different connectivity Some people's is stronger than others, and it can be very overwhelming. Like I said, me, for the first time experiencing a demonic attack, a truly demonic attack, okay? Like, you even in the room, it even smelled like smoke. It smelled like cigarette smoke, and I don't smoke cigarettes. Neither did my roommate at the time smoke cigarettes, but it smelled like cigarettes in there. I was being heavily attacked by whatever that was on my family gene pool. But like I said, we have to understand too that, you know, we have to just keep ourselves prayed up every day.